years when LSU would have a pretty bad loss, I always felt good the next day because I knew that Drew Brees was going to be lining up for my second favorite team in all of sport, the New Orleans Saints, and that he was more than likely and probably going to lead us to a victory. But I can't even have LSU losing on a Saturday and the Saints be competitive in anything because they just flat out suck. And so the whole weekend sucks. But see, here's the thing. Both teams, statistically and mathematically, are not out of their playoff race. We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? Hope all of you are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Listen, here's one thing for sure. The Saints aren't making the playoffs, but LSU might. I know you don't want to believe in them. I know you're like, Blake, we got so many things that we got to clean up, and we're going to talk about those because we're going to recap LSU versus Texas A&M. Things that these are non-negotiables anymore. What are the problems? What are the issues? What are you not getting away with anymore? And what will you probably not get away with in some aspects against Alabama in 2 weeks? So we'll break down and recap the Texas A&M football game. What now for LSU? Where do we go from here? I'm just going to tell you, don't be the ones who are out on this LSU team. Don't do it. Because if they beat and win against the Alabama Crimson Tide, then you have Florida, Vandy, Oklahoma, teams that, yeah, they could do some things to you. You know, like you could go to the swamp and lose. You can lose to a very scrappy Vandy team. Maybe, I guess, Oklahoma could give you a scare, one last hurrah in the season. I don't really think so, but you get past this one. How do things look for you to finish the season and make yourself a true contender in this expanded 12-team playoff? So we'll talk about that. Carter the Power Bryant joins us at 7:35. Looking forward to him joining us as he always does on Mondays. We're going to recap the game. Where does LSU really go from here? What do you think is going to happen down the stretch? October is for pretenders. November is for contenders. No statement has been bigger than that for this LSU team. And here's what I know for a fact. In year 3 under Brian Kelly, you are about to find out where you are as a football program. In 2 weeks, you're going to find out how your culture's built. You're going to find out how good of a coaching staff you have. You're going to find out how tough is this football team physically and mentally. Everything that you have thought about the BK Brian Kelly era revolves around, hey, man, this is year 3. You said that we were supposed to judge you off of year 3. Okay. Well, what is that then? You said it. Those are your words. What about that now? So if we're judging you off that, you do a clean sweep down the stretch here. In the month of November, it's a clean sweep. Utter clean sweep. And then you make yourself a contender and get into the playoffs. Want to know where things stand? That you're going to find out in the next 5 weeks. You're 1,000% going to find out where you are. There's not really a much middle ground. Are you in 9-3 purgatory? Are you going to be a contender? Are you starting to, let's call it what it is, not just rebuild, but now reload? And when we talk about reload, I'm talking about that Benelli automatic shotgun that you have. There ain't no pump action in this hoe. We talking about the automatics. Splat-a-da-da-da-da-da. Gonna kill you. That's a funny video, by the way. Maybe I'm the only person. No, Mike Bazile probably, my good buddy Mike Bazile probably knows that reference. It is what it is. So you're going to find out, and we're going to talk about it here tonight. Let's get to a couple of these comments. Where is everybody listening to from tonight? Where is everybody listening to? Jamal says, in year 3 under Kelly, he has found another way to get worse. I mean, technically, they're not worse yet, man. Technically, they're not worse. They're exactly the same. That's the problem. Carver says South Carolina can beat A&M, Blake. Oh, 1,000%. Carvis on our A&M on our SEC channel, we talked about that game today, man. I'm with you. That D-line can certainly pose some very big problems for A&M, but they're pretty mad at me. Just going to throw this out there. A prominent A&M media member was coming after you, boy, last night, and it's like, hey, man, there was a take out there. I had said that I was asked a question about what do I think about, or what LSU fans think about A&M fans. A lot of you agreed. Cool. But they took it out of context like they normally do, take things out of context, and they ran with it. You know what? You won. You want to quote tweet me? I have pretty thick skin. By the way, I think they got like 300,000 views. All of A&M people do not like your boy right now. That's fine. That's okay. Thick skin. What are you going to say? Oh, look at your beard. You look like a caveman. That was actually said. And I know that we're not talking about facial hair here. I know we're not talking about facial hair when you got a Thanos-sized nutsack on your chin. So, with that being said, I know that people were coming after your boy. But you just got to get in the DMs. You can't be out there talking to LSU fans that are mostly women. What do I know? But you're in my mentions, but I'm a nobody. Oh, by the way, Rafino and Joe show AYS about the same amount of numbers. Who would have thunk it? Anyway, you're not here to listen to the pettiness. You're here to talk about LSU football. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Same as always, says Rob Boudreaux, the 337 Rain, Louisiana. Stand up. Good to have you in here. Good to have you in here. And he also says, hello, sir. Glad you're here. Big Boy 46 on the Hard Knocks. He's got a U.S. Army avatar here. Says SC matches up well with A&M. Is due for a big win this season. I agree. I agree. So, yeah. I mean, their D-line can give them issues. How do they prepare for Marcel Reed? Guys, I talked about this game on the SEC channel. If you want to know about this, go just listen to the video. South Carolina is 13th in the country in total defense. They're 16th in the country in run defense. They're 37th in the country in passing offense or passing defense. They can give you problems. They still give you problems. So if you ask me on a Monday, would I pick Texas A&M? Yes, I would. I would pick Texas A&M. However, I do think that they present you more problems than what LSU could in certain defensive areas. So that's going to be a very interesting game. Very, very interesting game. We'll talk about the college football in November. Look, A&M speaking of them, they have an easier path. So does Texas. Florida is about to go through the brutal schedule that we talked about all offseason. So it's going to be very interesting there. Very, very interesting there. All right, let's get to it. Everybody do us a favor. Please hit the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, share to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag. Our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty. Man, listen, if you need your home sold, you need to go over to our good friend Tyler Alexander. Go to their website, LPT Realty. Go find him. You're looking for a home in the greater Baton Rouge area. Let him know that you're looking. They have an effective rate of getting sales, putting you in the right home. That's why they're one of the best. No, not one of them. Here it is. That's why they're the number one team in real estate in Louisiana, one of the top 100 realtors in the state or in the entire United States. So go over to Tyler, give him a call, say, hey, man, what do you think about selling my house? What should I do here? Hey, I'm looking to buy. What do I need to do? Give him a call now. Let him know that Blake sent you a buy. And we're talking about our good friends over at J&J Exterminating. The four main things that we got to talk about with LSU in the recap versus A&M. We do that next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. I know the big question that you have here. Blake, it's game 3 of the World Series. What are you doing here? Well, it's right here in the studio. Game 3, Yankees down 2-0. I don't like it. Aaron Judge 1 for 9. Ohtani 1 for 8. So glad for one of them. Not so glad for the other. But again, like I mentioned, you are not here to talk about the World Series. We'd be watching it if we were main count about talking about Major League Baseball. Let's recap LSU versus Texas A&M. Listen, I'm going to go through 4 points here. It's an honest and real conversation that you and I need to have. I thought that you had, for what it's worth, a really good first half. A lot of that is due to that Connor Wigman was flustered. You were getting to him. He couldn't make big plays, and you started to extend the lead. That is 1,000% what happened in you the first half. Now, did you make mistakes? Yes, you made mistakes. Did you not get more points that you needed to get? Yes, all of that is true. Should some of those field goals should they continue to be drives in the first half? 100%. Should you have been up 23-7 going in at half? 100%. So many things you left out on the field in the first half, but you played a really good first half until. Guys, Marcel Reed in the read option. I want to make this very well known before we go any further. I am not going to listen to, nor am I going to discuss anyone thinking that you really believe that Blake Baker and this defensive staff did not know that Marcel Reed was a viable option in the game. Now, the coaching staff said it. Brian Kelly said, yeah, of course we know who Marcel Reed was. But everything that they did is off of a basic zone read concept. It was everything that they did. And the God's honest truth is, you faced it last week. You saw it last week. It's not like you have not seen that against South Carolina. South Carolina scored a touchdown on the jet sweep fake inverted veer that Lenore Sellers took to the house. It's not as if that this did not happen and that it hasn't happened to you not only this season, but last season and the season before and the season before that and the season before that. However long you've been here, some of these guys have been playing football for a long time. Zone read principles are always the same on the assignments that you have. So I've seen it all day. It's been pissing me off They didn't know what to do. That's bullshit. Flat out, 1,000% grade A premium beef bullshit. Deep down, you know it. Because if you've played the game, you know DN has this guy, backer has this guy's supposed to fill this gap, safety's supposed to have contained, however you're supposed to, and you have been taught through the schematics of this defense, you know what your assignment has got to be against zone read. And you know what Mike Elko did? They did nothing special, guys. Nothing in this sense. Nothing. They just continue to run the same exact shit over and over again. If they can't stop it, we're going to line up and run it. We might go out of a different formation. We might do or give them another look. The same play call is going to be the same thing, just out of a different formation. And that's what they did. It's what they continue to do. You cannot come in here and convince me that for whatever reason that you have not seen that before. I have heard that all since Saturday. I've seen it. I saw it all on social media on Sunday. I saw it again today. If you really believe, if you're that naive to believe that Blake Baker had no idea when he broke down Arkansas last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess we can call it now, 2 weeks ago, when he's preparing for Taylon Green, that he doesn't have the film on, and watching what Texas A&M is doing, and in the game see what Marcel Reed is also doing, you are losing your mind. It's not possible. So anybody that thinks that that is a reality, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I talked to somebody today, and they were like, Blake, do you really think that this is true? And I'm like, no, it's not. But topic of conversation. Carter's going to be on here in about 20 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it is. And if you watch me and Carter before, me and him had a conversation about Marcel Reed. I think the kid can be really good. I think he can be special. Because when you can run the way that he does, he is a difference maker. He is an explosive player, and all he's got to do is turn on the jets, and you're in trouble. And that's what happened to you. But Marcel Reed, you had no answer. I don't know if we need to get back to basic zone read principles, but they better be fixed come this week, because Kalen DeBoer, regardless of however you want to look at him and the struggles that Bama has had through this season, a bad offensive mind and play caller, him and Nick Sheridan or not, they will find things on you. So you better be already in the facility working on it. But I am tired of hearing that we didn't know what to do. You're damn right you knew what to do. You're damn right. Nothing was spectacular in any of that. One guy takes the motion man, one guy takes the back, the other guy takes the quarterback. That is triple option zone read principles. That is as old as football has been alive. That is nothing new. Nothing's new in that. So you're going to have to replicate some things that you have done and have been able to do defensively. You still have a lot of talent. Now, I'm going to defend the defense in just a moment, and I want you to stay with me, because I do think that not everything should fall on their shoulders like it has been. But you got to fix the small things. If you're a player, in your mind, you have got to say to yourself, we have had some of you have had 3 different defensive coordinators. Some of you have had 2 or 3 different position coaches. The only same factor that continues to get some of these things wrong, whether you've been at LSU or you have not been at LSU for 1 year, 2 years, however long, The only thing and the only person that continues to make these problems and issues is you. You got to look in the mirror and say to yourself, I should know what to do versus zone principles. I should know. I 1,000% should know. I don't want to hear that anymore. All right. Listen, guys, in the second half, you know what happened in the third quarter. When you had the interception in the direction of Aaron Anderson, momentum is a massive thing in this game. And all the momentum that you had was lost. Every single bit of it. Every single bit of it. You know, I asked myself the question today. Let's say that they did put in Marcel Reed as an example. After you punted the ball versus him getting the ball at the 8-yard line, could you have seen a little bit more from him? Like if he's got to go 80 yards in his first drive, what's the difference in going 8 yards and then 80 yards? It's a massive difference. Guys, turnovers have to stop. I don't care where they're coming from. I don't care if they're coming from Nuss. I don't care if you were fumbling the football. I don't care where it comes from. When you turn the football over, you are going to lose football games. Guys, the truth is, you were down 5 with 8 minutes left to go in the game, and you had generated 3 interceptions, 2 missed field goals, and a fumbled snap by your special teams. And the way that I equate it, it either is a turnover or the missed field goals acts like a turnover. So they had 6 turnovers in a second half, and why it looked so bad in the total collapse that you had. Well, not 6 total turnovers because some of those field goals in the first half. But you get my point here. 6, and with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, it's a 5-point ball game. You can be mad at me for my thoughts on the turnovers. You can agree with me. Quite honestly, I don't care what you think about my perception of any player, because it's not reality or true. But what is true is, guys, football is not different. Take the player out of it. If I told you that Auburn, they had a top 30 offense and a really good passing attack, statistically speaking, but it gets erased because they turn the football over too much. Because Auburn's a top 35 offense in the country. You're around 26, 27. There's not a lot of things off with you. But when you turn the football over, you're going to be a bad football team. You're not going to have consistency. Now, is some of that because you're putting so much on the shoulders of one player? Fine. I don't disagree with that at all. The running game has not been consistent. And here's another thing. You're not running any play actions in this. You're not giving him a look for where the defense or safeties in too high shell has got to come down or too high. You're not benefiting or calling plays that when they have 2 safeties 15 yards off the ball that maybe you want to, and they're in man-to-man. Guys, they either play cover 2, quarters, or what they played a lot was man too high. And Aaron Anderson was open all night, and you're not giving those benefits. The problem is that this is not the only situation in football history where teams have not been able to run when defenses are in too high safety look. So one safety over here, one safety over there. They don't want to get beat deep on anything. It's what Ole Miss did to you. And you couldn't run the ball there. But what did you do? You didn't turn the ball over more than 2 times. Well, I guess you did. You did still technically have a turnover on downs, but you didn't throw 3 interceptions. And you're down 5 with 8 minutes left to go in the game, and then you threw your 3rd interception. I don't care where they're coming from. I don't care who's doing them. And the only reason I'm saying it like that is because I feel like you get upset with me Blake just hates Garrett. Guys, that's not true. Regardless of what label you want to put on me or whatever you want to say, you had 3 turnovers. You had 2 missed field goals. You had a botched snap for a total of 6, what I consider, don't have to agree or disagree with me there, I don't care. Got 6 turnovers or turnover-worthy plays where you're not getting points. Arkansas, you were clean. You didn't have any. Nuss almost threw 2 picks, but you didn't have any. And it's why the way that you looked the way that you looked. Because Arkansas is 7th in the country in total offense. They don't suck. And the reason you were able to whop that ass is because when you don't give teams possessions, they can't play with you. They can't. Ole Miss, you had a total of 4. You had 2 interceptions, a turnover on downs, and a missed field goal. Against South Alabama, you had 2 interceptions. Guys, in the last month, you have 10 total turnovers or turnover-worthy plays. So what do I know about this team in the last month? Regardless of where they're coming from, regardless of what's going on, whether you're having an interception, whether you're having a turnover on downs, whether you're missing a field goal, whether you have a bad snap and it hits off the punter's shoulder and you got to recover it and you can't get points off it, regardless of what is happening, 3 turnovers per game in the last month will get you beat. You're lucky, very, very lucky that you as a team were able to come out of these games with 1 loss. You're very lucky. You are very lucky. If I would have told you in the beginning of the season, there would be a stretch in LSU's season or a month, there would be a month in LSU's season where they would turn over the football on an average of 3 times per game, you would have flipped your mind. But now that we're in the season and we're talking about it and we're going through it, it seems like it's not that big of a deal. Guys, it's the ultimate deal. Now, do you got to run the football? Do you got to get better there? You're 1,000% you do. We're talking about that next, ironically. But don't come at me, don't look at me and cockeyed. Oh, you don't represent the LSU fan. If you say that and you're 5'7", because I've seen a couple of you guys that are 5'7", who are talking a big game. I've eaten burritos bigger than you. Shut the fuck up. But the bottom line is, if you continue to do that, you are not going to get where you need to be. You're going to look up at the end of the season at the Cheez-It Bowl. I don't want to go to the Cheez-It Bowl. I don't. I think you have enough talent to where you should not be worried about going to the freaking Cheez-It Bowl. And I freaking love Cheez-Its. I would bathe in Cheez-Its, mega pause. But the bottom line is, I don't want to be at their bowl game. You have to stop turning the football over. Guys, it is the number one thing. It's got to stop. So whether you got to scramble. Guys, if you're, and look, there are a lot of things that need to happen here. If you're Nuss and you scramble left, you got to pick up yardage. Because again, in the last month, if I would have told you that you have averaged 3 turnovers or turnover-worthy plays in a month of football, you would have been lucky to get out of there with 1 loss. You would have. It's got to stop. Now, guys, LSU is 16th in the SEC, dead last in the SEC in yards per game on the ground. Dead last. You're running zone read principles with a quarterback that's never going to pull a football. You run counter 3 times. You get a run of 12 yards, a run of 10 yards, and a run of 7 yards, and then you never go back to it. I guess you went back to it once, but it was a false start, and Josh Williams had a hole the size of the Grand Canyon that got called back because of a false start. You're not giving favorable looks. You're putting Tre'Davious Green on the end line of scrimmage as a tight end for him to go up against Nick Scorton. And you're asking a true freshman who never played tight end in high school to block the number 1 defensive end in the NFL draft. And then you run a zone read off of it. Your quarterback, who should have pulled the football, doesn't pull the football. And all night long, Nick Scorton just said, you know what? If you're going to hit me with a zone read, if you're going to hit me with this Rudy Poo, I'm going to beat your ass all night. In which he did. So we want to blame the offensive line. Fair. Because there's one thing I know, at least I feel like I know as an offensive lineman. You can't be that productive in pass pro if something's not off schematically, if something's not being taught right. But you're dead last in the SEC in a run game. And for that, you are getting your quarterback killed. You're getting him killed. And you know what? If you can't run the football, find somebody, put him in a position to where you can find ways to run the football. If Emory Jones has got to move in at guard, put his ass at guard. Sorry, Miles Frazier. Sorry. Do you not have another viable option at center? Do you not have another? I thought Paul Mabenga, in his first ever game snaps ever, I thought he kind of held his own a little bit. That's just me. But it's time. It's time. It's year 3 in this thing. It's time to nut up and pop somebody in the mouth. Scheme is only one part of this. It's only one part of this. You're missing holes. Our guys over at PFF, if you subscribe or whatever, they got the all 22 copies. At least that's where I've always gotten them. They have the all 22 copies. Your running backs missing wide open lanes. Guys, it's the worst thing that Brian Kelly has ever done, statistically speaking. Because Brian Kelly's never been dead last in a statistic. As much as you want to act like it, boy, the defense was bad last year. They were really bad. Yeah, they were never 16th in the SEC in any statistical category until right now. They weren't. Guys, schematically, it's a joke. I'm going to call it what it is. How in the good God world do you have Tre'Davious Green blocking Nick Scorton? Why? That is the checkmate above all checkmates. Then the week before, you told me you moved him to slot receiver, and then you said, hey, he hasn't really been blocking well. We got to get him out at the slot. What are we doing? If anything, don't block Scorton. Run an RPO with him. Run an RPO with Tre'Davious Green's big ass. Last thing. Guys, you're really about to find out a lot about your football team. Everything that you wanted to know from this point forward in this game, from the Texas A&M loss on, Brian Kelly said, challenge me and look at me for what I do in year 3. Okay, well, you're 6-2, and I'm looking. I don't want no cheese. I don't want a Cheez-It Bowl. I don't want that. What I want is for me to find out, and guys, this is what you're going to find out about where LSU is as a program right now. You're going to find out, number one, how good is that culture in that locker room? Because if it's good, they're going to respond, and they're going to beat the shit out of – I say beat the shit out of – they're going to beat Alabama. How tough are you? Well, you know what? If you are a tough football team, you're going to find ways to run the football. You're going to line up and bust somebody in the mouth because I'm about sick and tired of you being a finesse, roadie poo type of team. Line up and punch somebody in the mouth. It's beyond time. Beyond time. And to be honest with you, there's been a lot of people here in the 3 years under Brian Kelly. It's time to roll. It's time to roll. You have Bryce Underwood. I don't know if I should let this slip, but fuck it. You got Bryce Underwood that's going to be in attendance in 2 weeks. A lot of chirping out there right now about Bryce Underwood, isn't it? Jakeem Stewart is going to be in Baton Rouge in 2 Saturdays. Want to seal a deal? Go seal that thing. Go seal it. Because I cannot have more passion and more love for this place than you. I can't. I can't make you a tougher football team. I know what my eyes see. I know what my eyes see. Want to find out where they are? You're surely about to find out. You can make a playoff. Go seize that bitch. All right. Carter Bryant joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. I thought we would change up the tune, but what we could do is this.
We're back.
Carter, the power, Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Blake, this was a game I thought LSU was going to drop before the season. It was the only one before the season where Vegas had LSU as an underdog, but it doesn't excuse choking away a 10-point lead. And the funny thing about it, Blake, is
which should have been a 16-point lead.
Right. In many ways, yeah. With the special teams errors, this would have been up there with Brian Kelly when it comes to impressive 3-game runs in his whole career, right? Pulling off Ole Miss and then pulling off, a back-to-back road game situation that, you and I have discussed for many years. It sucks that they could not close the deal. And I don't know what you do. I don't know if you get David Goggins to come in and give a halftime speech or whatever, to get this team to have that killer instinct in the second half. But for some reason, Blake, I think we still don't know what a zone read is. We still don't know we still don't know how to guard that for whatever reason.
Well, here's the thing. Ironically, you've been a second half football team throughout this stretch.
Right.
Like, I mean, you have been coming out in halftime, giving up no points. See, Carter, you were holding teams to no touchdowns. Okay.
Right,
And then
right.
to your point, it was the number one thing that I talked about tonight. I've heard it. I've seen it on social media. I've heard it, seen it, and even watched it. I don't want to hear we didn't prepare for Marcel Reed. Carter, it's not true. First off, it's not true. Second off, even if you didn't, zone read principles were taught to you during preseason camp.
Yes.
They were taught to you during the South Carolina game and during the Arkansas game and all these different situations. Carter, you gave up a 75-yard touchdown to Lenore Sellers about 6 weeks ago, okay, on the same thing that Marcel Reed ran 7 times. 7 times. The jet sweep, zone read, inverted veer. So don't you dare tell me that Blake Baker didn't go over that with you in the film room. It's not true.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that anymore. However, this is what I'm going to say, because I'm going to stick up for the defense here for one reason and one reason only. They have bailed you out of a lot of situations in the last couple of weeks. It was time for the offense to bail them out. Right? It was 1,000% time that, look, defense stood up for you against Ole Miss. It stood up for you again in the second half versus South Carolina. It stood up for you against Arkansas last week and was big for you. Carter, this was the time that the offense, hey, man, we're having troubles figuring this out. Can you go win this for me? Carter, with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, you were down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you threw an interception that sealed Texas A&M's fate. So I don't want to hear at that exact moment, Carter, you can't run the football. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're right. You can't do any of those things. But you are down 5 in a crucial situation. And the number one thing that you cannot do is turn the football over. You can't. I don't care if you can't run the ball. I don't care if Jesus Christ Almighty comes down from heaven and says, Blake, they can't run the ball. I don't care about that. You got, at some point, that's the last thing, Carter, that you can do is turn the ball over. And you did it 3 times.
Yeah, and it's honestly the type of interceptions that bother me, right? So, Connor Wigman the week before versus Mississippi State had interceptions that were, pretty much 100% on him. And then these Garrett Nussmeier picks were him, right? I listened to the A&M DBs talk about it after the game. They're like, well, I couldn't believe that he's actually throwing these. And Blake, it was going to happen at some point. Garrett does throw these comeback routes really quickly, and there was going to be a time where DB finally got him on it.
The second interception that he threw against A&M was the one interception that I was like, happens.
Yeah.
Happens. I mean, it just like he baited you. Okay, it happens. It's not your fault that Joe Sloan's making you throw from left hash to right boundary on a hitch. It's a stupid play call. It's a very – look, I'm not going to – I have no problem giving Garrett that one. That's a stupid play call. How about this? You got one-on-one bump and run, man-to-man coverage with Kyron Lacey on the other side. Why don't you throw that one?
Yeah, there were some other instances. And Blake, I think some of it is because they've really struggled and it's some on Garrett and some on the receivers. They've really struggled with just straight go balls this year. And that's been very frustrating. As great as Garrett has been at times, the straight vertical pass has been an issue. And Blake, one thing that I feel has been a problem is all verts, right? It's just one play where they've really had issues. One, because they have had struggle. They struggle with protecting with, the pocket collapsing. And number 2, there was some rush opportunities for Garrett to scramble, and he wouldn't take them. At the end of the first half on that 3rd and 10, where he just threw a hopeful one up to Mason, that ball should never be thrown. It's just never going to be completed. Mason broke off where the DB was. It's just not where he should have gone with it. And I felt that was, and I'm not asking Garrett to turn into Jayden Daniels or anything like that, but part of running vertical routes, Blake, is the quarterback run game, right? And that's another reason why I think they should stop it.
It's what you do in a draw and a clear out.
Right, yeah.
Now, I will say this too. I will say this to push back on you. There's one thing. I watched your entire film study last night. By the way, phenomenal job. Absolutely phenomenal job. Okay. You were fantastic. I agree with a lot of what you said. It was a fantastic film study. Y'all need to go over to Power Hour LSU and listen to it. There's a couple of problems that I have. The only issue that I had in what you were talking about that I disagree with, I don't think the pocket from an interior standpoint is actually bad. I think from a shorter quarterback, what did Drew do? Drew would take the extra step because he's a shorter quarterback to find that throwing lane.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Right. Like, I mean, and that's neither here nor there because you didn't. I mean, it wasn't like a massive thing that you were talking about, but it's the only thing. But here's the thing, Carter. You had what I consider, okay, either true turnovers or turnover-worthy plays, meaning missed field goals or turnover on downs. Like, Carter, why turnover on downs aren't listed as turnovers is beyond me. I mean, it says turnover in the name. Like, you turn the ball over on downs. I have no idea why it doesn't get listed. So that and missed field goals along with the interceptions. Carter, you have 7 interceptions in the last 4 games. You have 3 turnover on downs and 3 missed field goals.
Yeah, it was very sloppy.
Carter,
yeah.
If I told you very quickly, if I rudely interrupt you, if I told you in the beginning of the season, there would be a month stretch where you have what we would consider, like me and you would consider, in breaking down a game, 12 turnover-worthy situations. Carter, you would think that we would lose 2 games in that. You are lucky to come out of this stretch only losing 1 football game, and that's the truth.
Yeah, and with the first-year starting quarterback, I'll take it. I will. Now,
oh, you better, dude. Yeah, I don't care who your quarterback is. Yeah. First-year quarterback, second-year quarterback, Brett Favre. I don't give 2 Rudy Poos who it is. I mean, Carter, you're averaging 3 turnover-worthy situations on offense per game. 3.
Right. Yeah.
You're walking into the game averaging 3 turnover-worthy situations. You can't win football. So, Carter, I ask you this. Well, then, if they get rid of that, how good can this football team be?
Yeah, this is a struggle I have though, Blake. And you. By the way, when you were on my channel this weekend, you volunteered. You reached out to me to come on it, and I'm glad you did. You crushed it. What's very interesting to me is, yes, we would like run blocking to be better. Yes, we would like Garrett to be better, but you being very critical of Joe Sloan tonight is, I would say, justified. I really would. I think this game.
Carter, we got Trey'Dez Green blocking Nick Scorton.
Right, and then he had a block versus Shamar Stewart that was
idiotic. You literally told me in the press conference on Monday that you put him out in the slot because he can't be on the inline and block. And then you come into the game and then you're using it against 2 defensive tackle or 2 defensive linemen. They're going to be in the first round.
Yeah, and honestly, on one of the blocks that he blew, George Kittle's not making that block. You know,
no, you're talking about the outside zone.
Yeah, like
when he's on the backside. Yeah,
like Darnell Washington isn't making that block. Any tight end would tell you
they're not. Offensive tackles aren't making that block. Right. Will Campbell's not making that block. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it honestly was bad. It really, really was bad, and honestly, it looked for potentially some Arkansas fans watching, it looked like it was Dan Enos calling plays, right? He really struggled, Joe, getting the run game going. And Blake, just want to point this out. I just released on Twitter a run scheme that I saw work versus Alabama that I would like to see LSU implement next week.
What is it?
It's kind of complicated. At Power Hour LSU, I just tweeted it out. You guys can go watch it for yourself.
Wait until after the segment, then you can go watch.
No, yeah. Don't go right now. Don't go right now. But I say this because I don't want to say, hey, I'm criticizing Joe Sloan without providing specific examples on what you could do to help out. Basically, it's something that is going to help every single offensive lineman out. And now, Blake, there's modern rushing schemes. Lane Kiffin runs a lot of these.
Are you talking about a wide zone inverted veer, like where you pull a counter and the running back's on the right, you have the the tackle and guard pull, and then you're just going outside where no offensive lineman's affected in that?
Yes, that's essentially it. And I said it verbally during the film study last night. Those types of plays can really get an offense going. Because Blake, there was instances last night where Nick Scorton wasn't even playing any type of backside contain. Literally, when LSU would, pull their lineman one way, he would full speed sprint to the other side and make tackles, right? So that is a really, really bad first year design flaw. Something you would see a first year coordinator draw up. And honestly, Blake, no one's really going to succeed with that type of play calling. And as I got tagged in this quite a bit. There's a lot of first down pass fails, second down run, right? And the sequencing needs to be better. And when you think of the best play callers, it's not necessarily their play calls that are the best. It's how they sequence them, right? And Joe Sloan, up to this point in the season, has had a very predictable sequence. And it was pretty clear that A&M had picked up on it. And that also...
Carter, if we can pick up on it, they can pick up on it.
Right. And I want everyone to know this. I'm not a former player, coach. When I do film studies, I'm just giving you my best educated guesses.
Carter, they can get the coaches can get over it. They can get over it. Say your point.
Right. I am one person, right? There are teams of analysts that pick up signals and all of that. We have we're having an issue telling a story, right? We have an issue putting the defense at odds on what we could potentially do. And the thing that really makes that hard, Blake, and I understand I go back to the Garrett Nussmeier scramble stuff, is that we don't really do a whole lot as an offense that will keep a defensive lineman guessing. So in other words, the run that we're going to run, if we pull linemen, that's where we're running the football. Okay. If our running back is going one way, that's where the play is going. When we drop back to pass, the defensive linemen know that the quarterback aren't going to run. The linebackers know that the quarterback's not going to run. So you eliminate a lot of different things for what the defense could think you could be doing, if that makes sense. And
100%.
And so it's not just the play calling and the sequencing that becomes predictable. It's how your games actually play that become predictable, right? Like, obviously, just to point out the brilliance of like Jaden Daniels, you never know which play is going to be run or how that play is going to end up, right?
Like a Hail Mary.
Right. Like and what's funny about that Hail Mary is that you knew a Hail Mary was coming, and Jaden still did something crazy to buy as much time as he possibly could. That's what I feel is missing. I really feel like the defenses have really keyed in on a lot of the things that LSU is doing. And if you become like just a slight bit more unpredictable, the group that helps out the most is the offensive line, right? Because there was, and to go back to the Trey Days Green block, if you know that some of your players are struggling to block, you have got to do things to help them out instead of keep trying to run just basic zone blocking right, zone blocking left, because that's difficult, right? They're already struggling with executing the box to begin with. Why not add a few extra wrinkles, eye candy to make things a little bit easier for them?
Here's the only thing that I'm going to push back on. That the thing that bothers me, or not even push back on. Here's the thing that bothers me the most. You know that it's not working, and then you can't do it, right? Like you know that you're having issues running the football, regardless of the situation. Carter, they're playing two-man high, two safeties. They're playing man-to-man coverage underneath. Aaron Anderson is wide open. What are we doing? Why are you in an intermediate passing game not going back to Aaron Anderson on these slant routes, on these out routes, on these short little hitches? Why? Carter, we should have lined up and made them stop Aaron Anderson.
Yeah, and I felt, for me, Blake, and I understand I know the interceptions were bad, but I felt some of Garrett's decisions on non-interceptions were just as bad. So let's take the Chris Hilton go ball down the sideline. That is a very low percentage throw for a guy that's just now playing again, who doesn't really have the absolute best track record on actually catching deep passes.
Well,
right?
and work him into the game.
Right. And they were doing that. I would have never thrown that, right? On that same play, you had Aaron Anderson on a whip route.
Wide open.
Wide open. He was open. And that's where he should have gone, right? That's exactly where the ball should have been thrown. And I will also tell you this. There were some people that were worried about Aaron Anderson going into this game, going up against A&M's defense, because they had some issues with some slot guys, some shifty slot guys. And I felt like that's what LSU should have kept doing, right? They could not stop Aaron Anderson on a slant. They could not stop him at all. Arkansas couldn't stop him. And I would have kept just spamming the football, targeting him. And the good thing,
should have had 10 targets.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe even more than that, Blake. I mean, he got open a shit ton in that game. And I was a little shocked that we didn't keep going, right?
Well, here's the thing. You know what Bama runs. It's their base defense anyway. Carter, they're going to be in man-to-man coverage with 2 high safeties. I mean, that they did it against Vandy. When Vandy was running all over them, they didn't adjust. They did it against Georgia. They done it against everybody.
Right.
And here's the deal. With Aaron Anderson, that's going to happen again. Carter, it's the problem that I have with that. It's not just against this team that this has happened. It's not. I mean, Carter, these slot guys are having troubles with Aaron Anderson. You want to know why you beat Ole Miss? It's because you finally went to him. 3 weeks ago, I came on the show. I'm like, brother, he is wide open in the red zone. Me and you talked about it. I'm like, look, man, I get that the dude's 5'7" and you don't want to go to a guy. Well, you're throwing him a jump ball for an interception. Might as well throw the ball to him when he's actually making plays for you. That in and of itself, okay, is so dumb to me. That's the part where I'm saying, Carter, why are we not with iPads on the sidelines, screenshots on these iPads of what's going on during plays? If you're Joan Sloan, how are you not seeing that? I could forgive a college coach back in the day when they didn't have the footage of the plays in the sequence beforehand. He is on the headset. You're on the iPad. You're going through still shot photos. How are you missing that? That is abysmal. It's abysmal because if I can see it with my naked eye that this guy's wide ass open, what are we doing?
Yeah, Blake, I'm with you. Like I was honestly shocked, like how much Aaron was missing. Obviously, the vertical catch, where that was somewhat of a dangerous throw, but he made a really good play on it. He was just phenomenal, and that's why I wanted to bring him up as well, is because I also thought Blake Caden Durham had another good game, and that's what's kind of frustrating to me.
We legitimately threw him the ball out of the backfield once, and then the second time we tried to go to him, they covered it, and then we didn't go back to it because they covered it the second time.
Yeah, on the little rollout.
Well, here's the thing. So what?
No.
So they covered it once. Oh, cute. They covered it once. By the way, he's going up against a defensive end. You know that, right? If he's led enough there, Carter, he's going to catch the sidelines and get you 8 yards. And here's the other thing. You have a hitch or a comeback. You have a back in the flat. It's a 2-read look, right? And then you have a tight end coming across the middle. So 1, 2, 3. You have technically a 3-person look. Carter, if Nuss runs there, that's a first down. It's a first down. Without a doubt. Because here's the thing. Contain has to be broken when a defensive end is out in a pattern with a running back.
Yeah. I will let me ask you this.
Okay.
You mentioned Emory Jones going in at guard. Would you switch out centers?
you don't have a center on this team.
Right. And so
I'm not. I get what you're saying about him in your film study. He whiffed on some of them. Okay. Here's the problem with the counter run, the fake counter run, when there was a couple of them where Will Campbell pulled and he had to take up DJ Chester's guy. Here's the problem with that. The run's not supposed to go in the hole where Will Campbell is blocking. So this is my humble opinion. My humble opinion is that the running back is lined up on the wrong side of the quarterback. You never run a counter and you're handing it off right. Carter, he's handing the ball off right and Will is pulling. So you're supposed to run a counter right up his ass cheek. So regardless of what
so you're saying flip the running back to
he should have flipped the running back. You see what I'm saying? Like, how can you hand the ball off right and then you have a counter that's supposed to go off the ass cheek of Will Campbell? The only reason you're doing that is because they got to either come down and take him. You got to throw it in the flat. It's an automatic win of a play. The problem is, number one, Nuss does not move the running back over to get him in the right position. And even if DJ Chester is supposed to, even if he completely whiffs and Will, clears him out or pins him, Carter, counters are pin plays where you run and you pin the side of the defender. You got to be on the ass cheek of Will. He's on the opposite side of Will.
Okay.
So the only way for that to happen is that the running back is lined up in the wrong position. It's the only way. It's the only way that you can counteract that. Now, maybe that's how the play is drawn up. I don't know. I don't know any of that. But I do think that DJ, for what it's worth, he's had a lot of Carter only Lloyd Cushenberry saw more guys play nose or be up on the nose more than I think that DJ Chester has. Here's the problem with that. They know, meaning teams, that, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what I've heard. There are people in the SEC, defensive coordinators, that think if they just bull rush with DJ Chester, okay, and they show exotic looks, that Nuss is going to get flustered if something's in his face. They know that. And so I think that when you look at DJ, I'm giving him a little grain of salt that Nuss has either got to step up and run or step up in that bitch. Carter, I'm going to be real with you. This is the realest I've probably ever been on this show. At some point, you got to stand up in that bitch and fire it and say, let's go, motherfucker. Let's go. Because this is football. I am tired of the pussyfooting, the non-toughness in some situations. It's not just Nuss. It seems like I'm singling him out. It's not just him. But when a dude bull rushes you, if you're Miles Frazier and this should have been a penalty, but DJ Chester has a hand in his throat. If you're the guard, you got to go decleat a motherfucker.
Right, help him out. Yeah.
You got to help him out. Why are you fanning to one of the best tackles in the game in Emory Jones? You have no business whatsoever to fan out to Emory Jones. Go light somebody's rib cage open.
No, yeah,
that's the thing, Charter. We are missing toughness.
Oh, you think? You think?
No, I don't think. I know we're missing toughness. It's about time you go fuck somebody's rib cage up.
Yeah, look. Honestly, I'm a little shocked that offensive guards don't look for that because those are the viral plays. Those are your truck sticks. Those are
Adrian McGee on line 1, Vanderbilt's calling.
Right. I mean, if you want to make a Cole Kubelik clip, that's what you do. Clean. Nobody cares if it's you kind of blindsiding the guy.
You can't allow a center who's got a hand that's missing, that when he's got a guy head up on him, for him to get his second hand up on there. He is at more of a disadvantage than anybody.
Yeah, and this is where I'll also defend DJ Chet. I do think they should make a switch there, but I don't think they have another option, especially with the unit.
Move him to guard. Move him to guard.
Yeah, or it's going to be hard. Let's just say.
Oh, did you hear that?
What? It's going to be hard.
Just popped. But yeah, that too. That's what she said.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought that's what the dramatic pause is. But honestly, I like DJ Chester coming out of high school. I didn't think he was going to be a center. But I will say the way that the LSU offense is run, number one, he has faced a murderer's row of a lot of NFL defensive tackles. It's been difficult matchups versus a lot of 4 and 5 star guys. I don't remember a center, maybe since Lloyd Cushenberry, he played a lot of like 5-star guys.
This is where you miss Lance Hurd. You want to call it the truth? This is where you miss him, because you could put Emory at guard and Lance at right tackle, and things would be alleviated. You have one missing link.
Yeah, you're missing, especially with Tyree Adams out. They were expecting him to be the number 6 to where you can have a little bit more leeway. And like I said a million times in the film today, I wasn't going to be critical of Paul Mabenga at all. Man, that's a tough spot.
I thought he held his own. I'm going to be real with you.
I did too.
He held his own. Paul Mabenga held his own against a really talented defensive line.
Right. So look, I do think the way the LSU offense is constructed, that it is really hard to play center in it, right? But overall, whether it's a zone read or any of that, I thought before the season LSU was going to lose this game. If someone stuck a gun to my head and said, hey, pick the one game that you think they're going to lose. Blake, you know me pretty well. There's a lot of things that A&M does that going into the season I felt would be some weaknesses for us, and it was on the back end of a back-to-back road game. So now you're in a spot where take all the X's and O's, take everything else that I've said up to this point just out of the equation. If you're a true playoff team with actual national championship aspirations, a true playoff team wins all 4 of these games, right? This is how it's always been pre the 12-team playoff, right? Just because we're in a 2-loss era where you can lose 2 games and still make the playoff does not change the standards, right? Because if you do that, you're spitting in the face of all the other LSU teams that would win all these games and actually play in national championship bowls or play in big games, right? So no matter what, the only thing that's changed, Blake, as far as the discussion that we have, is your room for error has grown, but nothing else changes. You normally, if you were really going to be a real New Year's 6 or Sugar Bowl playoff contender, national championship contender, you would need to win all your fucking games in November anyway, right? So step up, like you said, get tough. And if you win all 4 of these games, you're a true playoff team. You're in, right? And I would prefer it to be that way anyway. Now, as Brian Kelly mentioned, when they asked him about it in the post game, sure, it's just one less game that, the wiggle room, there is no room for error moving forward. But I actually kind of like, from you take away, Blake, my LSU allegiances and how much I hate Bama, I kind of like the fact from a neutral perspective that both of these teams have 2 losses for this reason. Every year since 2010, LSU versus Alabama was a playoff game. You win, you're still in it. You lose, you're out of it. And guess what? We get one more year of this, right? So it's the same exact scenario that LSU was in 2022, where you needed to win that game to go to the SEC championship game. You needed to win that game to stay in a distant playoff hunt. It's the same thing here. And if you win this game versus Alabama, get ready for the quick turnaround for the Bama hangover, because it's going to get even tougher with Vanderbilt and with everything else that you have coming up. So I'm really excited about this next month. I'm really excited to get Brian Kelly, on the P's and Q's to get everything locked and ready to go. And part of the benefit of Marcel Reed doing what he did is now we know we can't have this zone read unacceptableness versus Jalen Milroe here in a few weeks.
I agree with you. You got to find ways to bounce back, man. I mean, it's doable.
Yeah.
And here's the last thing I'd say to you before I get you out of here. Brian Kelly said, "Judge me on year 3." I don't want to go to a Cheez-It Bowl. I don't want to go to a Cheez-It Bowl. Like this is what you said. You promised me in year 3 you would be in this situation. Okay. I have relied on you. I've put in faith in you to lead this program, and for what it's worth, you've done a good job at it. You had a Heisman Trophy winner. You brought him in. You won the West in 22. How are you going to respond? And I got to be real with you. You got to find a way to make your team tough, because I am about sick and tired of seeing this pillow shit in the interior of the offensive line. But look, none of that also, and to their point, Carter, the defense was only going to step up for you somewhat. It's not like 35 points, or actually, guys, 28 points. Carter, they had 28 points with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. One more quarter, okay? They have done so much for you. Go get 7 and change the momentum.
Yeah. And
look, there are going to be games. There have been games with Nick Saban where his teams have won and he's given up 40 points. Like, that has happened before. That has 1,000% happened. Yeah. But what do they always do? They play complementary football. And the one thing, I don't know what Brian Kelly's got to do. I don't know. He has well more of experience than I do, clearly, on what he needs to do. But you got to tell Nussmeier that these turnovers has got to stop, Carter. I'm sorry. They got to stop. They have to stop. So,
And Blake, one thing as far as like the 28 defensive points, that's in the zone read stuff. Yeah, it's embarrassing that someone threw 2 passes and completed both of them, and then you lost the way that you did. But
they had 8 completions and we lost the game.
Yeah, and there's a lot of short fields as well because of the turnovers, right? So,
think about this: of those 2 scoring drives, one started at the 8 and one started at the 18. Think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. That's the part. I think what fans see is, okay, you know what? Okay, Nuss threw a couple picks. That's okay, whatever. He threw a couple picks. They don't understand that one touchdown drive, literally, they scored 14 points off of 26 yards.
Oh, and it's just a recipe, especially if you're on the road. And like I brought up this point to you, and Blake, I'm not a very unquantifiable kind of guy. Right? It's just not my thing. I like to have a stat or a play, something specific. But there was a big debate last week about momentum in sports, if it really exists or not. If there was ever a game where momentum is like the real deal, there might not be an objective momentum stat, but anybody that watched that game that felt that A&M was going to win by 15, you pass me the blunt. There's not a single person that would have seen that coming, right? That is momentum. That is being on the road in front of 100,000 people for the second straight week. It's one of those things, and it's really hard. So momentum does exist in sports, and if there was an example, it would be that game.
21 points and 50 yards.
It's insane. No, it really is insane.
It really is insane. And here's the truth, man. That's not all on the defense. It just makes it look like it's that much worse.
Right.
It makes them look that much worse because of it. Okay, so they gave up an 8-yard run. I mean, okay, Jordan Gilbert tackled him at the goal line. Okay, so he got 8 yards. Okay, well, it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Carter, there comes a part here where I'm like, look, here's how I feel. Last thing, I promise. I swear to God.
No, I got one more thing after this.
I feel like people feel when they come to AYS and they think about me or what I say about these turnovers that I am some unhinged lunatic that doesn't like a specific person. It's just not true. I promise you it's not true. But if I told you that A&M would have 21 points and 50 yards, you would say that we threw 3 pick sixes. That's what you would have said, okay? And the defense is playing great, and you keep turning the ball over. They're not even on the field. I mean, Carter, that is pure insanity, and it's got to stop. So
yeah, and one thing I think is going to be interesting if you're and teams are going to spam zone read versus LSU 1,000 times.
Jalen Milroe is going to run the ball 15 times,
right? So Look, Blake, I'm a big Blake Baker guy. When they hired him, I thought that was the right move and all those different things. You brought up, the guys that he's really struggled with are the dual threat runners, right? The thing, though, that interests me is Blake Baker always has his guys thinking about making plays and havoc and all those things. When you play zone read teams, yes, playmaking is important, but zone reads in theory, Blake, are very direct plays. They're plays that happen very fast, right? The first thing you need to do as a defender is do your job, right? Don't think about making the big play, because if you do, that's the point of the zone read, right? You're giving your quarterback and running back a chance to read a play, stick their foot in the ground, and get as downhill as they possibly can. And if you leave a wide open gap versus zone read stuff, whether it's a running back having it or the QB having it, you're going to get destroyed. So you must have your guys understanding which gap they need to be in at all times, right? And even the best LSU defensive players struggle with this, right? I understand wanting to go make a play. I understand wanting to get back there, and that's a good mentality to have. But versus South Carolina, this happened a lot. Gaps wide open. And it happened again versus Texas A&M. So until you fix that, it's gonna keep gashing you. So there you go.
Carter the Power Bryant. I think that's one of our best. Like, hey man, this is where you stand episodes ever. Thank you for joining us, buddy.
Appreciate it. Let's go.
Carter the Power Bryant. We'll see him next Monday. And we're out of here with him. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.